you on that part, but it's like since both of you guys are the debaters, in order for someone to interject, both debaters have to agree with it. That's kind of how I like see it.
Yeah, and
You get
I
me?
want to see if there's an agreed upon topic, right? Which I think they're most likely is. I'm gonna get
I
to
was
there.
referring. I wasn't referring to the topic. I was referring to
Hmm?
midget jumping in to give his context.
Oh, okay. I even
Apollo,
said we can evaluate. We can
the
talk about
reason
that
I
later.
wasn't all
I even said to
stunned
Midget
about your
specifically.
interjection on it didn't damage you is because I didn't expect somebody to admit that fucks their point over. So I was already, it was an
Okay, so it's
expected
just gonna keep
measure,
on
therefore
rambling
I
about
already
how
hadn't
it quote
addressed them.
unquote fucks my
Wait,
point
Hold
over
on,
wait.
without understanding my point. Got you.
ramble and something
Got you.
being within
Got
expected
you.
measures, and that is poisoning the well. Hey, Archie, you want to
Got you.
determine whether or
Wait,
not that was valid?
wait.
Got you.
Hold on though, because I was
I
gonna
got
say
you.
Apollo did.
Correctional
Apollo did
fallacy, by the
before.
way.
Wait, hold on. Apollo did beforehand
How's
say
it? How's
that.
that false
What's
about
it
it? How's
called?
it
Wait, hold
negating
on.
it?
Wait,
He
Apollo.
ain't letting you
Apollo.
finish,
Apollo.
Wait,
Archie.
how is
Damn.
poison the well and area logic?
He's not even letting you finish, Archie. Damn.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Hold on. I was gonna say. Apollo, I need you to relax for a second. I'm gonna unmute you because I want to ask you a question. Because you were about to give a point before I had to mute you. Before I had to mute you, because Azazel also had to give his input to whether midget interjects or not. Did you still want to go into that point though?
He said it doesn't harm
He
his.
is
He said it
given
didn't even
3
harm his
points, and
thing.
before I even respond to the first point, he just keeps on making
There
another
wasn't
point and
points.
another
They
point
were
and another
literal
point.
questions. I
But
asked a
anyway, can I
question.
just
Those
let
weren't
me make my
points.
point? Can you mute him for a second? Can you actually mute him?
Archie, they were
Yeah.
questions.
Wait,
Okay,
hold on.
so mute him, please. He's been speaking for way too fucking long. Just shut on
Azazel,
my
you
fucking
gotta
points.
hold on.
Angry
Azazel,
question
you
mark?
gotta be quiet for a second because I don't want to mute you. I don't want to mute because I don't want to
I
mute
would say angry, but I would say
unnecessarily.
toxic. Yeah, definitely.
Archie. So what? Am I supposed to allow him to keep strawmanning what
Well,
I was doing?
So is he
My
technically,
gonna
very
well,
is he
I
gonna
was
actions.
get
gonna
muted
say
yet?
this.
Is
Wait,
this
wait. I
dumbass
was
gonna
gonna
get
say
muted yet?
this. Apollo, you're not helping. You're not helping. You're not helping. Azazel, I was gonna say this. Technically, I mean, I get that point because I also like interrupting when I feel like someone's strawmanning. But I gotta be fair here as the judge. I mean, technically, he does have his room to speak, just as you had your room to speak. Because he also felt that you were like strawmanning or you were being fallacious. But I had to still mute him because it's not right for him to interrupt you when you're trying to get your point out. So same thing goes for Apollo. I think I'm gonna let him
Fair
speak
enough,
too.
then.
Well, I was saying that even with the supposed clarified situation of what occurred between Midgets and that other guy who we debated about, so I'm saying to you that even then, even under that circumstance, I don't see where the dishonesty, as you imply, comes into play because I don't see how, even if it was grant that situation to transpire, that Midget was being dishonest. Him saying that, okay, I don't need to respond to this right now. We can move on. Does not in any way mean that you'd be dishonest if he actually went back onto that point, because for all we know, he could simply be wrong about whether he actually needed to respond to that point in the beginning. Like when, for example, he says that I don't need to respond to this point right now. We can move on to a next point. And then he moves on to a next point. He realizes the relevancy of the prior point, and he says, you know, I'm just going to respond to that point that I've moved on from. I don't see how that's dishonest in any way. Could you like elaborate on that for me, please, and thank you?
Oh my.
Yeah,
By the way,
go ahead.
addressing what he said, it was kind of hard to, given the fact that I could barely understand what the fuck he was saying. But, however, Archie,
That's
do you want
some
to
IQ
summarize
issue on
what
your
he
part,
said for
dude.
me?
My bad.
No, barely understand what you're saying due to the fact that I was on the phone
That's
with
skill
somebody.
issue, IQ
So,
issue.
once again,
Gotcha.
ad hominem.
I was gonna say.
Suck
I was
my dick,
gonna
you
just
left nut,
say.
fucking faggot.
Wait, hold on.
To hell?
Wait, hold
Ad
on.
hominem, where
Hold on,
that
please.
exactly armor
Wait, Zazel,
insults
real
you,
quick.
dude.
I was gonna say, Apollo, is it good? You think you could like summarize like with like less like words? I'm not saying that you're like using complicated words by any
No,
means. I
he's
was
not.
more
I was
just
just
saying you
on the
think you
phone
can
at the
summarize
same
with shorter
time.
words.
I got an unexpected call.
Yeah, you're good because I don't want to what's it called like take your words by accident get it wrong or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
I was gonna
sure,
say
definitely. I can use less complicated words if I want to. It's just that when he says ad hominem,
You can use
because
the
I just said
exact same
IQ issue,
words
I
if
don't
you
get the
want.
no.
I
I
argument.
mean,
couldn't hurt you.
wait,
That was
Zazel,
definitely
hold
an
on. Wait,
insult to my own.
Zazel,
Okay,
chill.
what?
I was gonna
Listen,
Yo,
say
listen to your
Apollo.
argument towards
Archie,
it. That's all
Archie,
you
Archie,
do.
he's presenting arguments to what I said inside your
Zazel, I don't want to
clarification.
When that presents an art, could you prove this was presenting an argument when I say IQ issue? Demonstrate that,
No,
please.
I'm talking about you talking about refuting what
So it's
I
not an
said.
argument? It was
You
not
hold
an
on, you
argument?
refuting what I said was an argument. So once again, you're now
Wait,
twisting my
pause a
words
second.
again.
So
Stop
what's I
conflating
refuting
my
what you said by
words.
calling you
Stop.
by saying your IQ is low? Yes or no?
Wait. I need everyone to be quick. I was gonna say this is like getting way off topic. I was gonna say just for you, Apollo. I need you to just restate what you said, but like not use less complicated words, but just summarize it a little bit more, I guess, compact in a sense. Because Azazel, not only did he say he was getting a phone call, but he also said because due to like the accent barrier between you guys, it's a little hard to understand what you're saying. So I was gonna say, could you just explain it like more concise way? I say.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I was just simply saying that If Midget says that I don't need to respond to this point right now, and then he moves on from this point to a different point, and then as the debate progresses, he realizes that the point he moved on from is actually relevant and would actually help him if he defeats it. I don't see how that's dishonest if he goes back to that point he's moved on from to actually help the progression of the debate and see whose points are actually more valid. I don't see the dishonesty there, and I'd like him to point it out. And the second thing I'd like him to point out is how exactly me saying IQ issue, like implants IQ is low, by the way, isn't ad hominem
Wait,
about
wait, that right there, that right
Wait,
there.
who's
Wait,
ignorant?
that right there
He's
is
ignorant.
irrelevant.
Thank you. He's so
Wait,
ignorant. Thank you.
That's chill. Let that slip. Wait,
Yo.
Azazel.
Who's IQ low?
Did,
My
wait, hold
bad,
on,
my
real
bad,
quick,
my
real quick.
bad,
we
my
gotta
bad,
get
No, you're
Archie.
good.
resolution
You're
there.
all good.
I understood what he said. I understood what he said
Yeah, I was gonna say,
perfectly.
you're good.
It's
You're good.
exactly
You're
what
good.
I thought he said. I just needed him to repeat it. Oh my God, thank you. So, Archie, what? Apollo, I'm not going to address you, seeming the fact that you continue to insult me, and that's not progressive to this debate at all. So, I'm going to address the judge for a second. Archie, we both heard what he said that Midget willingly moved on from it, or even if Midget did willingly move on from it, which shows acceptance, especially in this community, since lack of refutation does show acceptance. Apollo, if you need me to attend vouch for this, we can grab several debates
What
later on,
form of
but you can show
acceptance do you
your you
mean?
can show exception
What do you
as
mean by
in no
acceptance?
refutation.
What's your
No
Wait,
definition of
refutation.
acceptance?
Apollo, don't interrupt for a second, because
No,
Azazel
it's
was
fine.
talking
It's
to
fine.
me.
I'll answer that question.
Okay, okay.
As in showing no refutation, aka accepting what.
I'm sorry,
Damn it! I
that's not what
accidentally
the
hurt
word
myself.
acceptance means. You might need to revise the definition, kid.
Hold on. Acceptance definitely does mean within agreement, right?
No, stupid. You want to give an
No.
example? I can give an example
Okay,
right
come
now.
on, no fucking example. Let's grab the definition.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's
Read
a
Wait, do
that
you guys
definition
want
you.
me?
right now.
Do
I
you
Post the
guys want me
love
definition.
to?
people that are ignorant.
Post the
I
definition
love
right now.
ignorant ass people.
Wait,
Okay,
real quick,
okay.
guys,
Stop
guys,
rambling
guys, guys,
about
guys.
ignorance and post the
Wait,
definition,
guys,
kid.
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Wait, guys, everyone, be quiet for a second. Do you guys want me to grab the Oxford definition real quick?
Yeah,
Apollo.
Already got it,
definitely, without a
Archie.
doubt.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just an action for it's an action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered, or
Thank
within you guys,
you.
or within you guys' context.
Wait, you
The
said thank you
agreement.
for conceding because the definition disproves your
Wait,
point, by
real
the way.
quick.
And I
Wait,
can
real
Because
quick.
the
elaborate.
It's
definition
the
proves my point.
within you guys' context. It's the agreement with or belief in an idea, opinion, or explanation.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
Thank
I
you.
can just respond to this by just simply saying that, for
Hold on,
example,
Archie.
if
Let
someone
us know
makes a
in chat I
point,
wasn't done with my
Wait,
argument,
Azazel,
so
let
he's
Apollo
responding
speak.
to the air.
Wait,
yeah,
Azazel,
Hold
I
on,
started
Azazel.
speaking
Archie.
Wait,
I
first.
hold on,
was in the
Apollo.
middle of my argument, and he came after. He asked
No,
me a question,
well,
which
no,
I
we
was still
were
responding
no.
to.
The only thing that we're
Oh,
gonna do is
sorry.
conclude to the dictionary
That was
source,
that,
and then
that was my bad actually as a judge. Apollo, I forgot he did actually just ask you a question, but he was still continuing his point. I can't even lie on that.
Yeah, I was still continuing my point.
sure,
Because that was the
But
point of the agreement thing.
yeah.
fine, bro, it's
Uh,
fine. Let's keep it going.
Sure. Okay. Like I was saying, within a debate context, without showing your obvious refutation, is usually taken as an acceptance, agreement, like to accept, like whatever wording you want me to use here, even though they technically all align. He was agreeing. He was coherently agreeing by not refuting this. Now, the reason I believe this to be true is based off not only the Oxford definition, the Wiki definition, and probably two others that I can grab if you need me to. Um, I basically have this under the bag. On top of that, I can show you in this community it is taken as acceptance when you do not show a coherent refutation. And if you want this, I can show you that too. And for now, I'll stop my point there. But Archie, if you
Mhm.
feel like, do I have room to continue, Archie, or should I just keep it concise right there?
I think concise, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
to
sure. I'll
respond to this
continue the rest
point,
later.
your refutation just is pretty much a denial of something. Now, a lack of denial does not entail agreement or consent towards something. So, for example, you have a
Archie,
girlfriend,
I
Aziz,
feel
so
like
you
that's
must
a
know this.
non-defeater. Archie, I feel like that's a
I'll explain why
non-defeater. And
this is a
Apollo,
defeater,
I
kid.
swear to
Please
God,
allow
if
for
you
a
bring up
second.
my girlfriend again, on me,
Okay,
we gonna be,
Archie, mute him.
on
Mute
me,
him,
we
Wait,
gonna
mute him.
spark some shit.
wait. I
On
was
me,
gonna
we gonna
say,
spark
no,
some
I
shit,
get
nigga.
you.
On me,
Sure.
we gonna spark some shit.
I
On
get
me,
you. I
I
get
take
you.
your life,
Azazel.
fuck nigga.
I get you. I get you. Yo, Apollo. Let's keep first off. Let's just try to keep it respectable because I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you keep bringing up his girlfriend, he's gonna ape the fuck out of you, and I don't want that to happen because
I will be at
that's
his
the
house
debate's
and
not
I
gonna
will take
progress.
that nigga's life. On me.
I was
I
Not
gonna
put that
say,
on
disrespectful.
everything I love.
That was
Fuck
not
with me, nigga.
disrespectful.
chill.
If
Fuck
you
with me,
actually,
nigga.
if you
Apollo.
guys actually
Fuck with
allow
me,
me,
nigga.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
gonna mute both of you.
fuck with me.
Chill.
Fuck with me. I dare you. I dare you, nigga.
Chill.
Fuck with me.
Okay. Listen. Keep girlfriends out of this, spurking out of this, because actually in this server, technically by rules set, that's a DQ. So I was gonna say let's both keep like spurking out of this. Apollo, can you please just directly address his argument and stuff like that without bringing up anything about his girlfriend, family, or anything of that personal matter to the topic?
Sure, I can just appeal to some random girlfriend. If you ask her, not even a
Yo,
girlfriend,
Apollo, I
you
just
can
said,
just say,
Apollo,
so I'm okay.
nothing
So
about his
I'm
girlfriend.
hindered from giving
Nothing
an
about his
okay, okay,
girlfriend.
I got
Nothing
you.
about his girlfriend. That means not calling her random either. Nothing about his girlfriend.
I'm not.
You must
I'm
be
not. I
right.
didn't say I was gonna call his girlfriend
Wait,
random. I'm gonna
that's not what I
say
said.
I
That's
was
not what I
gonna
said.
appeal to
That's
a
not what I said.
random girl in a hypothetical. That's what I said.
Wait. Already, dude. That no more context about his girlfriend. You're doing too much. No more context about his
I,
girlfriend.
I literally granted that. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just continue on
So to continue on
straightforward.
what I was gonna say, I was just gonna say, if you, for example, let's say, for example, you go to a girl and you just ask her if she want to have sex, for example. She not responding to you or not denying to have sex does not mean she consented, right? A lack of denial could just simply mean a lack of explicit denial just leads us to a state where we don't know if she's accepting or consenting to this or she actually doesn't want to have sex with you. So they're going to look at me and going to tell me that a lack of refutation involves an acceptance. That's just dumb. There are several situations in which someone might present an argument, and I've even experienced this myself too. I'll present an argument to someone, and the person does not refute it, and they still believe that their argument is in fact correct. They still believe that their position is correct, regardless of the lack of refutation they have presented towards my position. The only thing the lack of refutation implies is a lack of argumentative counter to a position or to one's argument. It does not imply that the person actually assents to the position, because one can still disagree with the position but still fail to refute the argument. So your argument does not work, dude. For you to agree or something, for you to consent to something, you'd have to either say I agree on this, or okay, or I grant this to be true. Yeah, whatever,
I waste
whatever
all
this
my
or yada yada
time when
yada.
I'm wasted. GC, are you
Yeah.
done?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. He's done.
So, one, Archie, this is a non-defeater in my argument because, as you can literally recall yourself, I said several times in this community, it is taken as in debating. So, using one a using a fucking situation or an analogy outside of debating would be non-applicative. And two, using a situation or analogy outside of this community would be non-applicative. That was a non-defeater. What the fuck?
Done yet?
That's all. That's it. That's all I need to say.
Okay, so you appeal to a definition, which is Oxford, by the way, which does not specifically
Feel the
refer to this
definition.
community. But then
Archie, Archie,
pause,
I
one
feel like
second.
this is
Wait.
once again a
Wait.
non-defeater. Can we press
Can I
on?
just respond, please?
Wait. You gotta let him finish though, real quick,
My
because I
bad.
want to
Go
hear his
ahead.
reputation. Real quick.
Yeah. So what we did to determine
No,
whether lack of
wasted.
reputation
PTA
implies
love,
acceptance or not
wasted,
was appeal to
wasted.
Oxford
I'm on
Dictionary's
taste
definition.
buds.
We did not
No, we didn't.
use this.
Wasted.
Okay, muted.
Making up my mind, and I wasted,
Wait.
Yeah,
wasted.
muted.
I'm not
So
talking to
I
you,
got it.
nigga. Hey, I'm
Muted.
not talking to him. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not.
No,
I'm
it's
literally
because
not
your
even
mic.
talking to the kid.
No, it's not that. I mean, it's because like what's it called? You're kind of
Stay
like
fair.
over talking him with like because your mic's a little louder than his.
Oh my bad. I'm
Mm-hmm.
That's
still
what
on
I mean.
phone, bro.
You're good. No,
Go
I
ahead and
wasn't
mute
saying
me.
you're
It's all
not. I
good.
wasn't saying
Nah, no,
that.
it's all good. Go ahead and mute me, bro.
All right.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna
Good.
say that when we had this conversation, like this, when we talk about this point regarding whether a lack of reputation actually implies an acceptance or entails an acceptance, right? The appeal that both of us made, and included the judge, was Oxford Dictionary's definition. So if we're gonna use this community's accounts for its acceptances and their criteria for what acceptance is, that's extraneous when you're appealing to this universal norm as regards what acceptance is by virtue of appealing to a definition, which does not specifically refer to this community, which I'm pretty fucking certain the owner of Oxford does not have any awareness of, but is referring to the normative usage of the word. So, in virtue of you using or appealing to the dictionary definition of the word acceptance to prove that the lack of refutation involves or entails acceptance, you can't then just switch the goalposts and then just say that, okay, even if this dictionary definition does not accord with my position, I can just simply appeal to this community's criteria of acceptance. That's stupid. You'd have to bite the bullet and drop the initial appeal, or you'd have to switch your position to, oh, this community, it is defined to be an acceptance.
Okay.
Time when I'm wasted. GT. Oh shit, my bad.
Good.
So one, I want to point this out real quick. Archie, even you're aware of the fact of, given what he just said, that would mean, due to me not refuting that I'm using Oxford Dictionary, that would be my acceptance of it. So concession on that point. Secondly, when we used Oxford definition, it was him referring to the definition of acceptance or to accept, not a refutation of my previous, where I was literally setting up my premises to be upon depending on this community. So Also, given the fact that he said that the only way for my argument to go through would be if I was using this community from jump, which I was, I feel like that's also a defeater. And do I have to say it again? It's his argument's a non-defeater. He's relying on something that's outside of my original premises. So, the end. Archie, you can judge this if you want. I feel like I just won. Shit.
I was gonna say.
Waste.
So, is there
I
any
waste
more
all my time when
context
I
you want to give?
waste,
Because I think it is
waste.
going a little long,
PGA
and
love,
I think I understand what both of you guys' points
waste.
are. But
I
Apollo, is there one final refutation
waste,
or whatever
Yes,
that you
waste.
want to give?
I'm not sure if it'll be final based on what
Love.
you give new responses afterwards, but I'll actually respond to that bullshit point that you just presented. So for one, regardless of whether he said that he was referring to in this community, lack of refutation is acceptance, and that was his position. I'm saying to you that his appeal, which is to Oxford Dictionary, implies that he was using a universal definition of acceptance to prove that it would also be the case that in this community, a lack of refutation is acceptance. And I'm saying to you that if his justification is proof for the fact of the matter, which is lack of refutation entails a concession, or rather an agreement to a point, right, does not actually accord with this position. If his proof is demonstrated to not accord with this position, and is demonstrated to accord with something other than his position, then he can't make this appeal anymore. And just a while ago, he tried to make a trash-ass, sophist argument by saying, and I'm actually appalled by the fact that he even tried that bullshit. He
Wait,
said a
Azazel,
while ago that he said a while ago.
Apollo,
Let me just
Apollo.
finish. He said a while
Wait, real
ago
quick.
that him not
Wait, no, no,
refuting.
no. I was gonna say because again, this is in the rules. Let's refuse to like. I mean, of course, there's healthy, saying what you're dumb or you're an idiot or your argument's dumb. I'm fine with that, but let's refuse. Let's like refrain from like using like where it's like this dumb sophistry, this dumb idiot is so stupid or things like that. Just because I feel like it kind of like draws away from the main point of the debate. Like I understand rhetorical tactics and stuff, but it is technically in the rules not to do that. You get me?
But I was just gonna say, bro, that I was appalled by the fact that he literally said that him not refuting the appeal to Oxford or Oxford Dictionary would entail, or rather would necessarily entail, an acceptance. Now, his initial position is that a lack of refutation in all cases is an acceptance towards a position. I disagree with this. I don't agree with any entailment there. I don't even think they imply each other. Even if there in some cases, or there are some cases in which, right, you not refuting something, you don't refute something and accept something, does not mean that they actually have some correlated factor. It's like me saying every time I wake up, the sun rises. Therefore, me waking up is a cause of the sunrise. No, it's a correlated fallacy, right? Just because something
No, Paula.
occurs
Hey, someone
simultaneously with
untie
something
out
else
Wait,
does
Azazel.
not mean
Wait,
Apollo,
it's full
Apollo,
stop.
Apollo,
Paula, hold on.
Apollo.
It's a full
Azazel's not
stop.
here. He left. He
Hmm?
got timed out.
He got
I
I
mean,
don't
timed
want
out.
to interrupt.
to be fair, this is his final refutation, so it doesn't really matter if Azazel hears it. But I need Azazel and VC to unmute him when
Yeah.
he gives the
I
conclusion.
never agreed per se that it's my final refutation. I said it's dependent on certain circumstances. It depends on if he presents new points in
Hold on.
response to
Wait,
this
hold on.
refutation.
No. He's gonna give conclusions after this, though. But hold on, though. Where's Can someone untime out Azazel? He's been timed out by the bot.
Bro, why does that bot do that?
It's because it's a trigger system. When someone says too much words, there's code in the bot that triggers to where it times someone out to avoid spam and stuff like that. And I think it's because he was spamming the word wait too much, so it timed him out for 2 minutes. But I need someone to untime him out though. So is it okay if anyone with perms or anything like that, maybe
Jester
Rios? Okay. Hey Jester hype.
Yo, Archie always sounds nice. Sounds nice when he's judging, bro.
I mean, it was just 2 minutes, so if no one untimes him out, then we could just wait the 2 minutes.
Big black booty sex.
No one laughed at that, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Just be
Destruction,
normal.
mute yourself.
Okay.
You shut your bitch ass up, cuz.
Okay, Azazel's back. You can
All
admit.
right, cool.
I'm
I
a
was gonna say,
blood.
was that all your Tori? Please relax. Is that all you had to say, Apollo? All right, here, let me ask Azazel just in case he wanted to. Did you want to rehear what he said? He stopped maybe about 20 to 25 seconds after you got timed out, Azazel. Did you want a repetition of what he had said? And by the way, you're unmuted. I don't know if you wanted
Okay,
to.
thank you. Didn't know that I was on mute. One. Hey yo, Archie, do I have to wait to the end to call a straw man, nigga? Because that shit's
Um,
boring.
I know it's boring, but technically it'd be
By the
pretty
way,
like
is Azazel back?
wait, Apollo, hold
Oh,
on. It'd be pretty weird of me, you get me, to kind of interrupt a mid argument. You get me?
that's fine. I ain't even gonna remember what the fuck this nigga straw man. Fuck it. I'll still call it at the end though.
Can I
Go
just
ahead,
can
bro.
I just repeat my response?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Apollo, you can go now.
Hmm. Yeah, I was just gonna say that for one, I've already explained, or rather, the lack of refutation. You said initially that a lack of refutation entails, right, an acceptance of a point, and I'm saying that this is wrong. You try to appeal to the Oxford Dictionary definition, right, of what a refutation is, or sorry, what acceptance is, I should say, to then demonstrate that lack of refutation entails an acceptance. Now, even if you say that in some cases where
This is
someone don't
wild.
refute the point, yeah, if someone does not refute the point, they accepted the point. That does not mean in all cases, which is what's required for your position to be true, that a lack of refutation entails acceptance, right? It's a correlative fallacy. It's like saying in some cases, right, when I wake up, the sun rises, therefore if I wake up, the sun has to rise. It's a correlative fallacy, right? You'd have to demonstrate why it entails this thing, right? And also, you said something else about you're talking about this community. I don't really care. Even if you're talking about this community, your justification relies on this universal factor, which does not accord with their position. If you're going to say that in this community, people sometimes consider lack of reputation to be an acceptance, I mean, there's no disagreement on that. What I disagree with is when you're actually saying that based on the actual definition of acceptance and refutation, according to Oxford, this would be an entail. I disagree with that. I think the only thing a lack of refutation means is that there's more proof for the other side and there's no proof for the opponent's side. It doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't mean that the opponent has to agree with them because they fail to refute their point. That's dumb and stupid.
Okay. Azazel, did you want to refute against that? And I was gonna say
Yeah.
we're gonna push to conclusions soon because it's getting a little bit.
Oh no, Archie, I am perfectly fine. We're going straight through because we're like to fucking conclusions right after this.
Okay.
Perfectly. Okay. So let's get right into it. So one, my nigga, when did I say that in all cases refutation equals acceptance? What the hell? My argument was literally the foundation of against this. That shit's a straw man, bullshit, and cap, nigga. The fuck? Secondly, fucking, you said that I appealed to the definition of acceptance. No, that was you. Pretty sure we can get recollection that was you. 100% you. Also, what's up, True? Nigga didn't see you in
And
here.
use this definition, so
Also,
we both appeal
yo,
to it.
Archie, who is this nigga? Shut up,
Wait, hold
Buck.
on. Relax. Apollo, wait, let him finish for a second.
Right, cool. Also, on top of that, he said my argument relies on a universal factor. Who decided that? I am the one to decide these things, nigga. I ain't saying that. So stop putting words in my mouth. Also, he said that it would rely on the Oxford Dictionary just because I used it to define it. Actually, that's not what the only definition that I was going to use to define it, so it would not be the only one. On top of that, you're the one that appealed to it, not me, so you'd be bound to it. On top of that, is there not other definitions? Can I not argue its invalidity? Can I not argue something else? I can. Therefore, there's other options and methods for me to take. So unless you want to throw up some fallacies that I obviously don't want to name right now, shut up. And he also said that a lack of refutation would mean that more proof is on one side than the other. Uh, I think that's naturally a part of it, which would also mean that if somebody doesn't refute, they've accepted that one side has more proof than the other. Whether or not they believe their actual fucking, what's it called, argument has been defeated does not take away the fact that they are accepting that they lost this. So, well, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's all I need. Archie, conclusions?
Is there anything you wanted to give Apollo? Because I think all you did was kind of repeat. You
Yeah,
just
we
want to
just
go to
repeated each other
conclusions?
over and over again.
Yeah.
Can I not make this jump?
Yo, Apollo, you there?
I'm here.
I live
My
in.
conclusion is okay. So just to clarify a few things, it's part of my conclusion inherently, but we both appeal to the dictionary definition. You said, yeah, we can use that. So you appeal to it to demonstrate your point being true for one. So that's incorrect. The other thing I'd like to respond to is the fact of the matter, which is that you specifically said that a lack of refutation. Sorry.
Yo, what the heck?
Wait, everyone, chill. Apologa.
Yeah.
Bro.
Apologa. You want to go? You good, bro?
Yo,
Oh,
bro?
yeah.
Yo, wait. Am I tripping? Do I have someone local muted or something? Is someone doing something?
No, it's just him.
I think he's like
Okay.
choking. Yo, Paulo, but just get up. Like, don't even try to talk. Just try to get it out.
Well,
If you don't want me, or if you
think
don't want
I'm
me asking
gonna
what the debate about.
hold on. Everyone else can be quiet. You can ask me afterwards or in chat. Yo, Zazel, I'm gonna let you go because the
It's
color right
fine.
now
Oh, I
is.
apologize for
Right
that.
way and the
It's
wrong
just
Never
was
mind,
just
way.
never
like
mind, never
cold.
mind.
Alright.
Yeah,
Hold on,
you're all
chill,
good.
chill,
Just
chill.
continue. And everyone
Yeah.
else, be quiet. Go on mute, bro.
His
Apologa.
throat.
Apollo, do you
Yeah,
because
my cold kind of like goes up for a second.
you're good. I was probably gonna let Zazel continue
Yeah.
if you don't continue.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
So I was just saying that.
or if it gets really bad, I'll take your if you
Yeah.
give a conclusion in text, I'll fully read it through.
The funny thing is, though, I'm not like really sick. It's just
No,
my
no,
cold from before just rose
I
up for a
get you, but
second. So I'm
I
just gonna
get you.
cough
I
it up
want to
real quick.
listen. Wait. I want to have a small conversation, but Azazel
Yeah.
also has to go.
Yeah. I think I'm good now. I think I'm good now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Go.
I just drank some water. Yeah. I was just saying. Um. Do you recall which part I left? Like.
So you were essentially saying it was just mainly drawing on the part about how
Yeah.
this normative definition, etc., cannot be subjected to one circumstance since he's using a definition
Mm-hmm.
universally applied, etc. You're stopping
Yeah.
at that part.
Oh yeah. I was just saying that. Yeah. He was. Yeah, I was just saying that the lack of refutation does not like he said that if one fails to refute a point, or if there's a lack of refutation towards a point, they accept the point and they disagree on that. Because I think there are multiple circumstances in which one does not refute a point, and they still do not accept the point that's being pushed by their opponent. I think the only thing the lack of refutation, which I've repeated several times, proves is that one person does not have proof for their counterposition. The person who is on the affirmative has proof for their position on arguments, whatever. The point of the matter is, he tried to say something like, in this case, whereas I did not refute the Oxford Dictionary appeal, then that would mean that I accept it. I mean, even if in this case you accepted it and also didn't refute it, or attempt to refute it, that does not mean that in all cases, as he implied specifically, a lack of refutation would entail an acceptance of a point, which I disagreed on. And the definition that we both appeal to literally proves my point for me, because in the definition they talk about how the action of agreeing or consenting to something. If there's no action of agreeing to a point by saying I agree or I grant this, as I've said prior, right? Simply, it would not entail that or rather, if there's no action of this, then there's no proof that that the person agrees on this just in virtue of a lack of refutation, which is what the whole point of the matter is. Just to summarize this, just one more point. He tried to use a correlated fallacy. I call it out. I don't think he actually responded to that sufficiently. So yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Azazel. You're on for me.
Like that might be like hella dishonest, but I guess we can get there in a second. So one, I'd like to call it Miss Illicit Major Archimedes. He brought up something in his premises, aka the refutation of what I said after that, in the end, which was retarded. You can't do that. Illicit Major fallacy. Shut up, cool. Anyway, so going back to the very basis of this entire debate. So, one, following the fact of at the start of this debate, he agreed, saying that in a situational cases, backtracking would be wrong. This is something that we went over. He said in the direct situation that I was using it in, that'd be fine. This direct situation would literally me be saying in this community. Now he is refuting this. This would also be backtracking, ironically, but it would also be a concession due to what he originally agreed upon. I was going to bring that up in the end just for the fuck of it. So, two, what I then used later in the debate was following the fact of I set my premises upon this community and upon what we believe to be the case in this community. And then he asked me, my bad, he told me that's not what acceptance means. And then Archie, if you can recall this, by the way, you don't have to respond. This is my conclusion. You said we can use the Oxford. I said sure. Obviously, this wasn't within refutation to it, but this was an acceptance, given the fact that I can use other definitions. This would not be tying me down to one. This would be allowing me to use multiple. And within this definition of acceptance, it was basically to just let me grab this real quick. I typed it out. Uh, uh, consent to receive or believe or come to recognition. So apparently within he put something, aka one person have more. Holy shit! Good thing I wrote all this down because this nigga take forever. Uh, yeah, one has more. One has more proof on the other side. Hold on, wait. Alexa, pause. That was throwing me off a little bit. Song a little bit too lit for the situation. He said that one side has more evidence on the other, aka preponderance of evidence. This would be accepting the cases, aka coming to a recognition that your opponent might be right. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to betray or forsake your argument, but you're coming to the recognition that yours may have be wrong, or your opponent's just may be right in some cases. Doesn't mean you believe the entirety of your argument is wrong. Just believe your opponent might be onto something. Also, going on to the fact of him, once again, illicit majoring or illicit minor, you can say either one in this instance, but he then attacked me on a fallacy that he called that I addressed, but then said I never addressed it, and then tried to go into further elaboration on it when he never did in the debate. Also, another one was him once again bringing up apparently the norm of another definition, which I attacked early, but then he went into even further beyond clarification of that shit. Yes, that was a Goku reference. Believe that would also be an illicit major, illicit minor. Archie, if you don't believe these illicit majors or illicit minors are valid, we don't have to argue over it. I don't feel like sitting on it all day. You can dismiss it if you feel like they're invalid. After all, they're just correctional fallacies. Once again, using the basis of the fact that he's now already in the beginning accepted that in this situation it would not be okay to backtrack. You can grab the recording if you disbelieve me. Given the fact that he tried to refute me by saying using the Oxford definition. No, I just remember what I was going to say. Holy shit. Okay, this is better. So, he said that the only way for my argument to be right would be if I said previously in my premise that I was depending upon this community's definition, which I did. We can grab the recording for that. And I also do not believe using a singular definition ties you and binds you to this definition the entirety of what you're using. I said that like several times now. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm done then. My bad. My brain was like looping for a second. Alexa.
I'm gonna have to video on you real quick.
Go ahead, Archie.
No, I'm gonna just say I'm gonna prefix this with a lot of things. I know I'm about to get jumped by like 50 niggas. I'm turning off my DMs for any faggots that try to spam me. Fuck you. Now I just want to prefix it with this. No, I'm not biased. I gave entire conflict, and I want you guys to listen fully to the words I'm saying, please. Fully to the words I'm saying. Like, just try to at least listen a bit. Including you, Apollo. Try to at least listen a bit. Just a tad bit. That's all. I was going to say this. Now, I think Azazel won. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, what the fuck? Just hear me out. The reason why is because, now, granted, I do think that Apollo's idea on... Okay. I do agree that Apollo's ideas on normative definition, stuff like that. Now, granted, he's not entirely wrong on that. Here's the reason why. So Azazel prefixed his argument with, hey, I think that, a lack of refutation inherently, it initiates an agreement. Now, Apollo at first said this acceptance does not entirely equal agreement, but Azazel got the definition out. Now, I actually said, hey, guys, I'm going to read out the definition. And when I did read the definition, I said to him this, hey, the definition that appeals to you guys' debate is an agreement with or belief in an idea, opinion, or explanation. Now, the problem with what Apollo said is that Apollo tried to appeal with the second noun, which says the action, or the first noun, which says the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. But the problem is he didn't catch. I did clarify that I was using their definition. Now, Azazel brought up a circumstantial property here. He brought up a circumstantial property of within this debate community. Now, granted, I do understand Apollo's point. Apollo tried to say, hey, you're using a universal definition. The author of that definition doesn't know what you're using, etc., etc. So you cannot assume the contextual effort of said noun, and you cannot take that noun and just specify it to whatever definition you have. I disagree with that, and Azazel disagrees with that, and I think he probably substantiated that upon because the fact that he said originally, he did prefix it with "in this community." Azazel also said it was a false equivalence to your analogy when you gave the analogy of if a woman does not say anything when a man offers her sex, does not mean he can have sex with it anyway, because that does not inherently mean his agreement. He did say that within the terms and general consensus of this community and an adult woman may think differently about certain things. I like that analogy. It was a very smart analogy. Initially, I thought you had won that, but when Azazel gave that false equivalence point, technically he did spin it back, right? And also, I was going to say this, for everyone, for Midget and for Apollo and for Fadi and stuff like that, for you guys saying maybe if I'm biased, maybe if you guys have a disagreement with my argument, maybe these things, I'm fine with communicating that afterwards and stuff like that. But no, I know I was just prefixing it with this. I'm not coming for any of you guys. I was just saying, personally, Apollo is one of my closest friends. I enjoy Apollo's company. I enjoy having my conversations with him. I think Azazel is also one of my closest friends, etc., etc. Midget, I've known him for a while. He's the one who initially got me into Lab, etc., etc. We go back a long time. Like I'm not biased by any means. I enjoy all of them. Right? They're very smart. But I was gonna say that's my judgment for now. Right. Again, if you guys have any disagreements, anything that I may fail to cover, you guys can bring it back. I'm gonna watch the part 1 recording of it because I did not watch the part 1. I'm entirely going after from when I joined VC to this moment right here. I'm gonna unmute both participants so they can also give their statements and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Zazel W. Archie, also, we would have more of a reason.
I'd like to say something.
Archie,
I'd like to
we
say
have more of
something.
a reason to have beef than anything, given the fact of previous history. So, surprised, actually.
Yeah, I understand. I just don't have really beef with anyone.
I just figured you understand my argument after everybody.
Wait, pause. Azazel gave 2 conclusions. That's for one thing. The first time
I gave 2 conclusions. What the
he
hell?
concluded, and then I gave my conclusion, and then he gave another conclusion.
That was
and then
not
he
my
muted me through the
conclusion. What the
entirety
hell?
of that. So that's one thing. Wait, pause. That's one thing I'd like to highlight. The second thing I'd like to highlight is that I never once disagreed that in this community that majority of people would think that a lack of refutation involves acceptance. What I disagree with is when he makes a universal statement saying that a lack of refutation does in fact entail
I
an
never made that. I never made that assertion.
Oxford.
That is literal cap. I never made that assertion. That is rat. What the hell?
You literally said it.
I never made the entire debate. I refuted you saying that. You're such a rat.
Wait, Archie, I'd like to have a 1v1 conversation with you for a second, right?
Bro, 1v1 Archie, bro. 1v1 means nothing. If you lost it, take your L. What the fuck?
No, I didn't lose because the judge
I was
said
gonna say real quick,
obviously wrong.
because I want to give.
the
Wait,
whole
hold
entire
on.
debate.
Everyone be quiet.
And there's several people in the chat who agrees I want too.
Wait,
so
real quick, real quick. Wait, real quick, because I want to give you the fair chance to. Because I did promise both of you guys that. What are your contentions? What do you have to say, etc., etc.? What do you have to voice?
Yeah, I prefer if both of us have like a 1v1 conversation on this. But the thing I'd like to highlight, Archie, is that for one, at the start of the debate, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the VC heard this, even before you even hopped in the VC. I never disagreed that in this community, in this illiterate dumbass community, people think that backtracking is dishonest, and that's the norm in this community, and they would consider this to be the case. I never disagreed on that. I never disagreed with the norms in this community. I've already expressed my lack of disagreement on that subject matter. What I disagreed with is when he's saying that based on the notion of how debating works, this thing is wrong. Right? That's where the disagreement stems from. So if you're going to say to me that his only point was that in this community it is considered to be acceptance, who cares? I never disagreed with that. If that's the point, then that means there was never any actual disagreement and there was no debate. But I know for a fact that that was not his only point, because of the fact of the matter, which is that if it was his only point, that in this community a lack of refutation entails an acceptance, he will not appeal to Oxford Dictionary, because Oxford Dictionary does not appeal to this community. It appeals to universal norms outside of this community and how people speak, or how every single English language user utilizes the word acceptance. But he did that. He appealed to this universal standard.
This guy stinks.
And I'm saying the whole entire critique is just saying, the whole entire reason I was continuing this point is not because I disagreed with the fact of the matter, which is that in this community, a lack of refutation involves or entails an acceptance. I never disagreed with that norm in this community. What I disagreed with is that based on the actual scholastic definitions of what acceptance is and what refutation is, right? It is not the case that someone failing to or not denying something or not refuting something is an acceptance. We're disagreed with. And if he's just gonna go, if he's just, if he's just gonna kick the can down the road and avoid that part, then sure, you can do his selfish shit bullshit. But I'm not into this shit.
Okay, I was gonna say I understand your point. I understand where you're coming from. But, the initializer for that was the context of this community. I understand that you don't necessarily disagree with that this community does abide by standards, but that was his entire point. Now, I heard this part. You said, "Hey, when did he even prove that? Due to the community to the community qualifying it, how is that an inherent qualifier for it being completely wrong? In said circumstance." Well, Azazel actually said, "Hey, I don't think it's wrong in every circumstance. I think it's wrong in circumstances divulged by the
Then he
main
agrees with my position.
community, because when it's the main community and stuff like that, has you both agreed to, these are the things that happen." And Azazel also, I don't think you caught this, and we can go back to the recording, but he also said earlier, "Would you like me to demonstrate and pull multiple debates in from when this happened? Because I can do that too." He said this verbatim, and you kind of just breached past that. If you think you didn't, then we can go back through the recording, but you kind of did. So that's the whole rug, cover up for that. That's the reason why I gave Azazel that point right there. As far as you saying about scholastic definitions, I understand initializing scholastic definitions and stuff like that, but we weren't necessarily using scholastic definitions in plural. We're using one definition, which is that they're a denouncing noun for the Oxford definition, which verbatim states that it's an agreement with or belief in an idea, opinion, or explanation, which I also prefixed that statement with here. This is what we're going to be using. And I also prefixed or outer prefixed that statement with, "Hey guys, are you both comfortable and consensual to me using that definition?" To which both of you guys said, "Yeah, I am. You guys can give your definition." That's why I was saying, hey, even if that were the case, it wouldn't necessarily even qualify you winning. And even then, I don't think your recollection was entirely the case. I understand your point, but I do think there's a few things you definitely missed with Aziz's argument.
Speaking now?
Yeah.
That's anyone in the chat who can scroll up and see the disagreements that we had. I specified in this chat that I think that under certain circumstances backtracking is wrong, and under certain circumstances backtracking is right. So heading into this debate, this is my position. If you're going to say to me that he agrees with this and that is his position also, then for one, there would not be a debate then, because we already agreed with each other. So that's one failure within your judgment. The other failure comes into play when I say that when I'm talking about scholastic definitions, I'm simply referring to the academic definition based on Oxford, which implies X, which we all granted, all three of us granted this. Right, he verbatim said, "Yeah, we can use that." And then when he presented the definition, he literally says, "Thank you, sir. Yes, sir." So he accepted this definition, and I'm saying that, dude, accepting this specific definition would not help you, because this definition does not prove your point. It does not prove that in this community this has to be the case. If you want to appeal to a different definition, I have no issue with that. I have no issue with him having his own proprietary definition as regards the matter and as regards why in this community this is the case. He can make a definition for this community to prove that this is the case. I don't have any issue with that. The disagreement is not on that. The disagreement stems from when he tries to use a definition which makes an appeal outside this community to then try to prove this claim, when the definition literally disproves what he's talking about. That's where the disagreement comes from, and I don't think you understood this yet. And if you're going to say that his major point is that under certain circumstances it is wrong, and under certain circumstances it is right, then that's an agreement with my position, and there was never any disagreement from the beginning, and therefore there was never any debates.
Yeah, I disagree again. The reason why I disagree is that I would restate this again. Hey, man, you got to understand, I prefixed the definition. I already set out the definition you guys were using, and you guys were both consensual to this. I don't understand the use of any qualifying definitions or whatever. And I remember you said the argument, hey, earlier in chat, I specified said statement. Well, said statement is not necessarily completely applicable and validifying through this debate, because hey, man, if you say a statement outside of the debate before, you can't, unless you're going to bring that back and correlate it, you can't necessarily use that statement before and try to apply it to the debate now. The reason why you can't is because, hey, well, your definition or your argument has something that has nothing. Well, it doesn't have entirely nothing, but it doesn't necessarily is not on the direct point of what you had said before. You cannot call it back, especially when that point was not necessarily mentioned, not only in the debate, but wasn't even fully brought up in the conclusions. That's why I don't understand fully what you're saying. Or actually, no, I do understand what you're saying. I just think what you're saying isn't necessarily, per se, a real counter to my judgment or a real like disagreement with my judgment. There was definitely a debate. The debate was on, hey, and I will specify this for the VC. The debate was on whether, what's it called, in the circumstance of the community, if we were to take that circumstance of the community, is it okay to make the proposition or say the proposition, hey, is this wrong? Is backtracking wrong? Is it wrong due to the baseline and logistic system of this community and the problems with what they were both disagreeing on? Not necessarily whether it was objectively wrong, but whether in said circumstance it was wrong. And I'm pretty sure Apollo agrees that in certain circumstances it was wrong, but they were both kind of mischievous, kind of like on what circumstances those would be and what actually qualifies as an agreement and whether the silence or the lack of refutation in that agreement can, justify someone moving forward and and whether that justifies them derailing or not or going backtracking or not. That was the debate. There was definitely a debate had. There was definitely a debate said, and I don't necessarily understand what you mean. I'm going to probably what's it called? Like, and my judgment still stays the same. I think Azazel won. The difficulty, I'll have to watch the first clip. I mean, for the second part, I have to give it mid to high. That isn't to say, and before chat starts going crazy, this is not to say, oh, Apollo got fucking low diff, blah, blah, blah. Relax. I don't think it was low. The only reason why I don't think it was low because I think Apollo gave a very valid, somewhat valid. Of course, at the end of the day, it was inevitably wrong, but he gave a somewhat valid refutation to the point of whether the definitions were scholastically correct. And I do think he gave a valid refutation, somewhat valid refutation, not entirely sound, of course, which is why he lost, but refutation to the point of circumstance. You get me? That's what I'm saying.
Not my load, bro. I lost my load. If I'm shitty, fuck.
I know, but I have to be fair.
Well, I know you got to be fair, but it's like at the same time. No, what? I ain't even argue. Fuck it. Whatever.
I was gonna say
whatever. I ain't gonna overdo it.
I was gonna say, do you have anything you want to say to me or any disagreements with my judgment? Any points?
I think you want to argue low diff, not mid, but fuck it, bro. I'll leave it. I'm like whatever, bro.
Are you entirely sure? Because I want to give I gave
Apollo. It's cool.
Okay. I was gonna unmute. You said, who was it, Paradox? Because he said he had like a problem with what I was saying. Or he isn't even in VC now.